What are some of the dumbest decisions people will make? Let's find out. Starting with number 6, Moms, the OnlyFan. Michelle Cline, a mom from Florida, got her children expelled from Liberty Christian Preparatory School because of an OnlyFans advertisement displayed on her car. Known by her alias, Fawn, Cline had been promoting her adult content platform on her vehicle, drawing backlash from both the school board and fellow parents. You know, all the men with outraged wives were like, "What? What's OnlyFans? Where's this ad you're talking about?" The controversy began when Cline's sticker caught the attention of other parents at the school in Tavares, Florida. Despite being forced to drop her kids off across the street due to the uproar, matters escalated when her children were ultimately expelled over it. The school pointed to policies that Cline apparently violated. In response to the school's decision, Cline received a letter from the school board urging her to remove the decals from her car or park off-site. But instead of complying, Cline decided to enhance the size of the decal, covering the entire back of her vehicle's tailgate, and even posted a photo of the larger display on social media. The school said she was mocking them, which is pretty hard to argue she wasn't. The school's administrators argued that Cline's actions disrupted school activities and violated Florida laws prohibiting the provision of minors with access to adult content. Despite the school's warning and the potential for re-enrollment if the decals were removed, Cline defended her decision, saying that her adult content business supported her family and was legal. While some parents sympathized with Cline's situation, others expressed concerns about the impact of the explicit advertisement on their children. One parent said that the large decal was a distraction for children and had questions about the appropriateness of such content in an educational environment. Cline's situation grabbed widespread attention, highlighting the complexities surrounding freedom of expression and parental responsibility. While Cline remained firm in her stance, insisting on her right to promote her business, the school maintained its position too. And yes, it's her right to advertise how she sees fit, and her life choices aren't our business, but why send your kids to a religious prep school, shove your job in everyone's faces, then act all indignant because everyone got mad? Like, she had to know that wasn't going to fly with pretty much anyone, especially at a religious school, where there are kids with religious parents. And yes, it's her right to advertise how she sees fit, and her life choices aren't our business, but why send your kids to a religious prep school, shove your job in everyone's faces, then act all indignant because everyone got mad? Like, she had to know that wasn't going to fly with pretty much anyone, especially at a religious school, where there are kids with religious parents. Number 5, an influencer influenced. Outdoor brand influencer Sophie Swaney, renowned for her extensive following across various social media platforms, found herself in a troubling situation in Nashville. Police arrested her after she was allegedly driving under the influence, accompanied by her boyfriend, who suffered a serious injury during an altercation. Apparently, Swaney and her boyfriend were in a heated argument while driving, and the disagreement escalated. So her boyfriend, who goes by the name Johnny Justice, got even more upset and became Johnny Jumper, jumping out of the moving vehicle through the passenger window. Unfortunately, Johnny ended up sustaining a serious head injury that required treatment in the trauma unit of a local hospital. Apparently, his name only makes him sound like a superhero. Upon arrival at the scene, law enforcement officers conducted sobriety tests on Swaney, suspecting impairment due to alcohol consumption. She admitted to having a Moscow Mule and a beer earlier in the evening, which isn't much, but field sobriety tests showed she had signs of impairment, leading to her arrest. During a search of the vehicle, officers discovered a firearm, which Swaney acknowledged was in her possession. Additionally, a small baggie containing some illegal substances was found, which she admitted to using occasionally. The incident marks Swaney's second encounter with DUI-related charges following a prior conviction in 2018. Consequently, she now faces charges including DUI, possession of a firearm while under the influence, and possession of a controlled substance. Swaney was released on bail pending her appearance in court. Swaney's rise to prominence in the outdoor and lifestyle influencer scene began after she relocated to North Carolina at the age of 21. Over the years, she has collaborated with various brands, showcasing outdoor activities such as marksmanship, hunting, and fishing. However, her portrayal of this lifestyle hasn't been without controversy, as she has faced citations for hunting without a license in the past. It makes you wonder exactly how bad the fight in the car was that it caused Johnny Justice to jump out of the window of a moving vehicle. Number 4. Dior Dior. An unnamed Australian guy found himself out $30,000 after splurging on what he thought was a collection of exclusive Dior Air Jordan 1 sneakers, only to later discover they were clever knockoffs. The man, a Melbourne real estate agent, was lured in by the promise of owning these highly sought-after sneakers, each pair representing a status symbol in the world of luxury footwear. Eager to bolster his shoe collection, the agent struck a deal with a seemingly enterprising 17-year-old seller, shelling out big money that included a jaw-dropping $10,000 for a single pair. However, his excitement soon turned to dismay when he began to notice defects in the shoes upon arrival. Suspecting foul play, he sought the opinion of sneaker experts, only to have his worst fears confirmed. The shoes were fake. Infuriated and scammed, the real estate agent took legal action against the teenage seller and his father, dragging them to the Victorian Civil and Administrative Tribunal in hopes of reclaiming his money. However, his hopes were shattered when the tribunal ruled against him because of the seller's age. They explained that due to him being under 18, he didn't have the legal capacity to enter into contracts. Of course, the tribunal's decision left the guy furious, since it basically meant he'd never get his money back. Meanwhile, the seller's defense painted a picture of a young entrepreneur who had unwittingly stumbled into the world of sneaker reselling, only to end up dealing with legal problems. We're not sure why the realtor wasn't asking himself how a 17-year-old could get such a collection of ultra-limited edition shoes, though. Maybe he was too blinded by the allure of luxury to see the red flags waving before him? So, who's at fault here? The guy who thought this teenager somehow had access to thousands of dollars worth of shoes? Did the kid unknowingly buy knockoffs and resell them? Is this something a 17-year-old should be held accountable for? Tell us what you think in the comments below. Number 3. Influencer with DUI. Amanda Caravella, once a rising star on TikTok, saw her career take a dramatic turn after a DUI arrest back in July of 2021. The influencer had initially become famous for her activism, particularly for protesting the decision to overturn Roe v. Wade in 2022. Her TikTok account quickly grabbed over 2 million likes, showcasing her efforts in various videos, including making custom signs and engaging in peaceful demonstrations. However, Amanda's budding TikTok career hit a roadblock when body cam footage of her DUI arrest surfaced on YouTube in December of 2022. The footage, which went viral on TikTok, showed a concerning scene of police officers struggling to communicate with Amanda, who appeared barely responsive behind the wheel of her car at an intersection during the night. Following the release of the footage, Amanda faced some legal consequences. She was charged and sentenced to 6 days of community service and 12 months of probation. Remarkably, the probation period concluded on December 26, 2022, just 2 weeks after the body cam video surfaced online. In the aftermath of the incident, Amanda's social media presence underwent a significant shift. She either deleted her accounts or set them to private, effectively disappearing from the online spotlight. Fortunately, no one was hurt while she was behind the wheel wasted, but she did end up losing whatever fame she was growing by making the stupid decision to drink and drive. Number 2. The influencer lifestyle. In the ever-glamorous world of social media influencing, where picture-perfect lives are shown off, it's easy to believe that everyone is living the high life. But reality often proves to be very different, as demonstrated by Lisette Calvero's eye-opening experience. Lisette was an aspiring influencer, and she found herself mixed up in a web of financial woes after attempting to mimic the extravagant lifestyle portrayed by her online counterparts. In her pursuit of fame and fortune, she spent thousands of dollars on luxurious vacations, trendy outfits, and lavish dining experiences, all while her bank account remained empty. Despite her best efforts, her investment failed to bring in the desired results, with her Instagram following barely reaching 10,000, a far cry from the millions she hoped to get. Reflecting on her spending habits, Lisette confessed to Fortune that she felt like she had to maintain an illusion of a glamorous lifestyle, even when it was financially unsustainable. She explained how influencers often create the facade of a jet-setting existence, constantly seeking validation through online displays of wealth. Lisette's story sheds light on the contrast between the perceived glamour of social media and the realities of financial instability. While influencers may project an image of opulence and success, the truth is often far less glamorous. As Lisette herself admitted, many aspiring influencers find themselves trapped in a cycle of debt as they strive to maintain appearances in a fiercely competitive industry. But amidst the struggles and setbacks, there's a glimmer of hope. Lisette's candidness about her financial challenges ultimately resonated with audiences, leading to a surge in her social media following. By sharing her journey, warts and all, she gained the authenticity and relatability that had eluded her during her quest for influencer status. Today, with over 80,000 Instagram followers and nearly 50,000 on TikTok, Lisette has found success by embracing her imperfections and being transparent about her mistakes. Yet, Lisette's story isn't unique. Emma Rose Lager, another aspiring influencer, shared similar struggles of financial hardship on her path to social media stardom. Despite boasting hundreds of thousands of followers today, Emma recounted how she once found herself broke after splurging on Coachella tickets in 2018, a stark reminder of the fleeting nature of online fame. So the next time you find yourself scrolling through your Instagram feed, remember that likely 95% of what you're seeing is fake and manipulated. Or better yet, just stay off of it. It seems like social media is just making everyone more depressed anyway. Be sure to stay on this video to find out more about some of the dumbest things people do on social media. Number 1. Influenced escapade. Paris Ao Yang, a teenage influencer and OnlyFans star, got in trouble after a drunken escapade that led to a catastrophic car crash at one of Australia's most upscale neighborhoods. The incident saw Ao Yang behind the wheel of her $50,000 black Mercedes, driving 4 times over the legal alcohol limit. In a state of inebriation, she crashed with a parked vehicle, a red Mercedes, worth $150,000. Apparently, the crash was a result of Ao Yang's tumultuous personal life, particularly her breakup with nightclub owner Julian Tobias. Desperate to drown her sorrows, Ao Yang dove head first into a 9-hour drinking spree, starting at midday and continuing into the evening. By the time of the accident, her blood alcohol reading soared to 0.213, way above the legal limit. During the court proceedings, it was revealed that Ao Yang's relationship with Tobias had begun when she was just 17 years old. The breakup had taken a toll on her mental state, leading her to seek solace in alcohol. Her lawyer described the situation as a perfect storm where Ao Yang spiraled out of control due to her inability to cope with the emotional fallout. The judge in this case didn't mince words as he addressed Ao Yang in court, admonishing her behavior and highlighting the grave danger she posed to herself and others on the road. He warned her of the potential for jail time, stressing the severity of her actions. Despite her affluent upbringing and substantial income from OnlyFans, Ao Yang's reckless behavior had landed her in a serious legal predicament. Ultimately, Ao Yang was convicted and sentenced to a 2-year community corrections order. Additionally, her license was suspended for 9 months with a breathalyzer device installed in her car for the following 24 months. She was also fined $1,000. The fact that people keep making the decision to drink and drive, despite it costing them severely, is weird. We all have had our lives touched directly or indirectly by a drunk driver. So why these decisions are still made is baffling. Even more so from people who have more to lose than we do. Please, please, please stop drinking and driving. It's just not worth it. These guys just can't help but just rat themselves out. Let's get right into just how dumb criminals can get. Number 4, let's rap about crime. 213 Jug God is a Texan rapper whose real name is Ladasian Riley. As a rapper, Riley makes hardcore songs about jugging. You would think that obviously jugging would mean that Riley is into doing things with jugs, playing the jug, putting stuff in jugs, hanging out with juggalos, collecting roughly 213 jugs, maybe even the occasional juggling show. Stuff like that can easily bring an up-and-comer loads of street cred in the hip-hop community. Actually, the jug in his name stands for jugging, and jugging is a street slang that means following unsuspecting victims and robbing them. 213, Jug God, was so into jugging that he actually wrote a jugging song called Make It Home with lyrics bragging about stealing from ATMs. Really, being a god of jugging, what else was our man Riley going to do in his downtime? Not jug? Of course not. The lyrics of Make It Home describe robbing ATMs in different states, having thousands of dollars in the car, and trying to make it home before the police catch up. A deep and meaningful song that anyone could relate to. Most who heard the song might believe that 213 Jug God was just making up a story for his song, but it was actually his plan. The only difference was 213 Jug God didn't make it home. He was 213 Jug Got. 213 Jug God wasn't alone in his robbing escapades. He had 3 other juggers with him. His Jug Gang of 4, which included a Juggette, jugged an ATM technician at the Bank of America. The crew approached the technician from behind as he serviced the machine, like a true jugger would, and forced him to hand over all the money in the machine, or there would be violence. Once they got the cash, the gang took the money and fled. 213 Jug God probably thought all about making it home, just like his song. However, things didn't quite pan out like that for our ragtag crew of jugging misfits. One of their getaway vehicles had been rented through Hertz, which allowed police to easily track their vehicle. In no time at all, police discovered the vehicle at a motel in Dixon, Tennessee. When police arrived, they decided to stake it out to see what kind of jugging activity they might find. And they found plenty. Police saw the gang load a Jeep up with cash, which was presumably jugged from the ATM, and then the gang checking out. After checking out, the suspects took off in different vehicles, but the police weren't about to let these juggers make it home. So they pursued the vehicles and quickly apprehended the jug buddies. Once all the jug friends were arrested, police discovered that this wasn't exactly 213 Jug God's first jugging rodeo. He was actually just out of prison on bond for an evading arrest charge. Police also discovered 213 Jug God's music and learned that he'd been bragging about jugging ATMs in his lyrics, so good luck with that not guilty plea. To add insult to injury, police made sure to mock 213 Jug God's ability to actually make it home in a Facebook post. Hopefully, 213 Jug God's church that worships him, he is a god after all, weren't too offended. Number 3, NBA player insurance scam. Former NBA player Terrence Williams was a first-round NBA pick out of Louisville who spent 6 seasons in the NBA with the Brooklyn Nets, Houston Rockets, Sacramento Kings, and Boston Celtics. Despite making a decent amount of money in the NBA, Williams wanted more. What he got was an indictment for leading a group of around 18 people to defraud the NBA through phony medical and dental insurance claims. Williams had recruited doctors in California and Washington, sent them false insurance claims, and got paid thousands of dollars in what turned out to be as embarrassing as his jump shot. Williams recruited other NBA players by offering to provide them with false invoices that supported their own fraudulent claims. Williams got these invoices from the doctors he'd recruited and then had the players submit the fake claims to the NBA insurance plan. He also recruited non-medical professionals to copy the invoices made by medical offices. The FBI investigator said that these invoices were usually poorly done. They often had typos, had no letterhead, and often contained misspelled names. Despite the unsophisticated nature of the scheme, Williams earned about $300,000. Aside from creating fake invoices, Williams was a true Renaissance man that also dabbled in identity theft. He used an email account designed to impersonate an employee of the NBA health insurance plan to frighten a doctor who wanted to back out of the scheme. Williams threatened the doctor by saying to either pay a fine or he would tell the authorities about the false invoices and claims, allowing Williams to net over $346,000. Williams' scam couldn't carry on forever, though, since he'd made so many mistakes that his arrest was inevitable. The invoices submitted were obviously fake, and some of the participants in the crime had made obvious slip-ups, like billing the NBA from states the teams didn't visit. Even after the scheme went bust and Williams was caught, he still went about threatening witnesses. Williams texted threats to a witness and told them that they were talking too much and that horrible things could befall them if they continued speaking. In the end, Williams pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit healthcare and wire fraud. The crimes he was charged with carry a maximum term of about 20 years in prison. Williams was also charged with 1 count of aggravated identity theft, which carries a mandatory minimum sentence of 2 years in prison. As part of his guilty plea, he agreed to pay restitution of $2.5 million to the plan and to forfeit roughly $650,000 to the U.S. government. Number 2. Buy high, sell low. Michael Melchizedek's operation started way back in 2013 when he just founded his company called Zeta Kicks. The company found quick success and was soon a popular online plug for sneakerheads, people who collect and trade rare or exclusive sneakers. These sneakers are usually quite expensive and often run into thousands and thousands of dollars. It's a lucrative gig if you know what you're doing, but Michael Melchizedek thought it'd be more lucrative if he instead was running a nationwide Ponzi-like scheme, defrauding thousands of customers out of about $70 million pretending to sell shoes. Not long after its inception, Zeta Kicks became a ridiculously successful company, making Michael Melchizedek a very rich man. But in early 2020, things started to get a bit complicated. During that time, Zeta Kicks repeatedly promised its customers access to exclusive shoes that were yet to be on the market, and oftentimes promised them at lower than retail prices. These sneakers were usually highly sought after and sold out within minutes. Even other retailers wanted to buy from Zeta Kicks because they could resell the shoes at a profit. However, Zeta Kicks had a catch. Customers could only get these shoes if they paid for pre-orders. Just like that, Zeta Kicks started taking payments for pre-orders. The only small problem for Melchizedek, couldn't fulfill the pre-orders, and he knew it when he started taking them. Melchizedek accepted 600,000 pre-orders for Air Jordan 11 Cool Grays and had put the sneakers on sale for about $115 to $200 a pair when Nike was expected to sell them for about $225. The 600,000 orders amounted to about $70 million. These were incredible sales, but the problem was Melchizedek had only 6,000 pairs in his storehouse, leaving a $593,000 deficit. The responsible thing at this point would be to refund his customers, but Michael had never been accused of being responsible and did no such thing. Instead, he offered his customers a combination of gift cards and refunds, allowing him to keep a huge chunk of the pre-order payments. Still, many orders were left without refunds, and even orders that were fulfilled only got to their destinations a year or so later. Aside from owing shoes to customers that didn't get refunded, the gift cards Melchizedek offered them were simply not equivalent to payments they made. So, Michael Melchizedek did what any person would do after they fleeced millions of dollars. He decided to move on with his life. Melchizedek used the money he got from his illegal scheme to purchase luxury items and live a wealthy lifestyle. He posted videos of himself riding around on a $29,000 Louis Vuitton bicycle inside his Oregon mansion and showed off an extremely expensive collection of Ferraris and Gerard Perrault watches. He also bought a Bentley, Porsche, Ferrari, Mercedes, Lamborghini, and a McLaren. Aside from all the cars, Melchizedek also purchased expensive furs, bags, and other luxury items for his fiancée, Bethany Mockerman. According to the police, he also used part of the money to finance a house payment with $600,000 worth of remodeling work done. It seemed like there was no way Melchizedek's life could be undone, but the entire scheme was quickly unraveling, and Michael realized that he couldn't keep the scam going for much longer. Melchizedek preempted the bankruptcy of the business by going to the courts and asking for the company to be dissolved and for its assets to be passed on to a court-appointed receiver. This receiver was supposed to use the company's assets to settle all outstanding debts that the company might have incurred. After doing that, Michael deleted his social media accounts and deleted the company's website as well. Following the dissolution of the business, the FBI began investigating the company, and they found some incredible things. They discovered that Michael was in fact selling sneaker pre-orders without actually having those sneakers, and he failed to refund those payments as well. But that was just the tip of the shoe. The FBI also discovered that the company provided false and misleading information to banks when applying for loans, and that his fiancée, Bethany Mockerman, was complicit in the scam. The FBI deemed the entire operation a criminal enterprise and swiftly moved in. Law enforcement agents were able to seize millions of dollars in cash and recovered another $6.4 million from the sale of the watches and cars. They also found out that Michael had 4,700 Yeezys, 8,500 Adidas shoes, and 48,000 Nike shoes in a warehouse in his house. The couple was also arrested to boot, pun intended. According to their attorney, both Michael and Bethany were cooperating with law enforcement. In the end, the FBI decided to charge both Bethany and Michael with conspiracy to commit bank fraud and money laundering. The only shoes we think Michael should wear is, of course, con. Number 1. We love attention. Johnny Richardson and Micaiah Taylor conspired with a government worker to steal thousands of dollars meant to support individuals who lost their jobs due to the coronavirus pandemic. The government worker involved was Brandy Hawkins, and without her, the scam would have never gone through. Actually, Hawkins was the reason the couple was even caught in the first place. When police discovered the couple through Hawkins' social media, the couple had been showing off their new pandemic-funded lavish lifestyle on social media. In one post, Johnny Richardson bought a $130,000 Benz for Taylor's birthday, proclaiming he'd already bought her a big house and that for some reason she deserved a gratuitously expensive car purchased with stolen funds. Maybe he was mad at her? Like, happy birthday, here's a vehicle that will be used as evidence for your future incarceration. I posted it on social media to make it easier to find. Happy B-Day, love you, XOXO. The couple continued to flaunt their extravagant lifestyles, even though neither of them had enough money to be living so lavishly. In fact, one of Taylor's confusing pictures, she was in a bikini, soaking in a bathtub filled with milk water, surrounded by dead rose petals. She must think that the wealthy take baths in dirty water with detritus floating around in it while wearing bathing suits. They also posted pictures of themselves wearing extremely expensive jewelry, driving other luxury vehicles, and flaunting large amounts of government cash. Police discovered Taylor and Richardson's social media brags when Hawkins was investigated for using her insider access to grant hundreds of thousands in fraudulent and unemployment claims. When the police discovered Hawkins' scam, they searched her home and discovered over $238,000 in cash, as well as receipts for Louis Vuitton merchandise and other high-end luxury items. Once police got access to Hawkins' phone records, they found incriminating conversations between her and other thieves. One of the phone numbers that Hawkins regularly texted was linked to one MDMH beauty bar. Officials looked at the page and discovered that it belonged to Taylor. Once the police found Taylor's Instagram page and saw how lavishly she and her boyfriend lived, they knew that something was up and decided to investigate. Upon further investigation, they discovered that Taylor, Richardson, and Hawkins regularly spoke about getting these fraudulent unemployment benefits and that they were all in cahoots. There was a lot of cahooting between the three. After going through Taylor and Richardson's Instagram accounts, the police decided that there was enough cause to arrest the couple. However, Richardson got word before he could be arrested and skedaddled out of town. Taylor wasn't so lucky. She was arrested and charged with wire fraud. If convicted, she could spend up to 20 years in prison for the crime. When Taylor eventually appeared in the court, she was wearing one of the luxury items she took pictures with on Instagram. Instead, she was in handcuffs and a blue zip-up jacket. Her lawyer requested bail, but the prosecutor was pretty adamant she remain in custody. He argued that the police still didn't know where the majority of their loot was and didn't know where boyfriend of the year Richardson ran off to. This, the government argued, made Taylor a flight risk. The judge ignored prosecution's recommendation and released her on a $10,000 unsecured bond. Ultimately, Richardson was caught and made to face justice as well. The couple both pled guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering. Richardson was eventually sentenced to 97 months in prison, and Taylor was sentenced to 30 months in prison. Click to watch one of these next videos. Let us know in the comments section what you'd rather do. Take $1 million in cash right now, or take a 50-50 chance at $50 million or nothing.